In the last episode, we saw Vedal being taken by the king Vikramaditya on his shoulders. The king is now on his way to take the little demon Vedal to the temple where the priest is. Vedal is about to tell a story to the king Vikramaditya.
My king, you have successfully grabbed me from the tree and put me on your shoulders. And we have a long way to go to reach your destination. And we have a lot to talk about. I am going to tell you a story. And after I finishing telling you the story, I am going to ask you a few questions. And if you answer those questions correctly, I will go back to the same tree that I was at come up because you have finally spoken. If you answer those questions incorrectly, I will chop your head into 1,000 pieces. But if you do not know the answer and you keep your mouth closed, come on, my curse will finally be broken. So, have you understood it, my king? So listen to me.
The king is understanding what the little demon is saying, but he makes sure to never speak as said by the priest. Now Vedal starts to tell the story to the king Vikramaditya.
My king, now I am about to tell you the first story. Once upon a time, there lived a king named Vijayavarman.
Vijayavarman was a phenomenally successful and a honorable leader of his nation. He felt his nation was a very prosperous and wealthy in every way possible. After a while, he decided to make some administrational changes in his kingdom. During his reign, he started appointing several honorable and just civilians for various responsibilities. Each of these sectors were split into several regions where each leader was appointed to each region, thus making sure that no injustice or corruption is occurring and that everyone is vigilant in this atmosphere. The number of people that would come to the king seeking justice for some wrongdoing that they have been through become lesser and lesser each day. One day, a man named Bharadan enters the king's palace and says this.
Greetings, my king. My name is Bharadan. I am here to file a complaint regarding what is going on in my vicinity.
Sure. Please tell me, what is it that you are going through?
My king, since you have assigned several regions of our land to several individuals who governed these regions with absolute impunity, you think that everything is fair and just and righteous? Am I right in my assumption that you are confident about the administration that you have set?
Yes. Isn't that the case? Is there something that you know that I don't? Tell me.
Yes, my king. There is a lot of corruption in the individuals that are governing these regions. The very people that you have assigned to protect and safeguard other ones that are stealing and making our lives extremely miserable. I have come to give you a notice of these events, my king.
As soon as the king heard this, he felt shocked and confused, as he had trusted several of these men with his life to protect and safeguard the nation. When he realized that there is an accusation that they are corrupt and unjust, he is absolutely baffled.
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to tell me that the people that I have selected to safeguard and protect the nation are the ones that are corrupt and unjust to you people? Which region do you belong to?
My king, I come from the western regions and I am being governed by a man named Kalagaya. He is a very corrupt individual that is stealing a lot of money from the innocent civilians of our region. Even recently, he has assigned a tax to all our incomes during the festives. This is causing nothing but harm and discouragement to our people.
I understand what the problems that the people are facing, but you tell me, what exactly is your problem with Kalagaya?
My king, I am an officer that is regulating these regions, but I am not able to get this man to stop stealing money. Whenever I would go to him to ask him to stop taking this money, he would scold me and he would dismiss me immediately. Ever since then, he has taken me out of my position as a regulating officer. Sometimes, when I would report to him about other individuals that are also stealing money, he would dismiss me and he would look after them. So this is what Kalagaya is doing all this while, my king.
So you are telling me that you would like your position to be retained?
No, my king. That is not why I am here. I can always make money anywhere. I have been educated my whole life and I can be a teacher or I can use my education to start a business. I cannot do a job where people are being corrupted. I am not here to retain my position whatsoever.
Then, what is the purpose of your visit? Please tell me.
All I ask of you, my king, is to go and watch how Kalagaya is looking after the region that you have given him. That is my humble request.
Is that all? I shall do that without a shadow of a doubt. Do not worry. I should leave tomorrow itself to visit Kalagaya and his region. You can leave now.
Thank you, my king. I appreciate your concern for our well-being. You should be the person to save the people from the atrocious activities of Kalagaya.
After listening to all the complaints that Bharadan had given him, the king decides to keep his promise and visit the region that was being ruled by Kalagaya. The next day, the king goes to Kalagaya's region. Kalagaya is quite surprised that the king arrived to his region. Kalagaya looks at king and says this.
Greetings, my king. It's an absolute honor to have you here in the region that you have given to me. I'm so grateful for your presence. May I know what is the reason for your visit, my king?
I don't need your welcome or your greetings. I have come here to see how happy the people are and to know what their concerns are. Why do you ask me such a question? Can't I come here anytime I want to? Isn't this my region as well?
I did not mean any respect by that question. I only meant to say that you are my king and this is your land. All I am is your humble servant and I am just looking after one of your regions, my king.
Alright. I want you to right away make an announcement to all the villages and the towns that are there nearby. Tell them that the king has arrived in your presence and I will be hearing all their complaints and their queries.
Yes, my king. I shall make all the arrangements to do the announcements in my region.
After a while, announcements were made all over the village and the towns that the king it was present, and all their complaints and queries can be made to him directly. At first, an old man came to the king to make a complaint. The old man looks at the king and says like this.
My king, I have been wronged immensely. I have a big land near my house and I have always given the appropriate tax that is required to keep my land. But Kalagaya has demanded me a ridiculous amount of tax that I am unable to pay. When I refused to him, he told me that he would take my land away. And now I do not even have a land, my king. But why haven't you told me this earlier? My king, how can I raise this to complain to any authority if the authorities are the ones that are stealing from me? It has been 10 years since I have been facing this issue. Every time I would try to raise this to anybody, they would further take more money from me in the hopes of solving my problem. Alright, what would you like me to do for you? What are the demands that you have right now? My king, the only demand that I have for now is the money that I had given Kalagaya for all these years. Please, return my money back. I understand. Please give me some time to think. You may leave now.
In that moment, Vedal asked Vikramaditya like this.
So now, why did the king not given this man justice immediately and send him away saying that he was going to think about it? Can you answer this question, my king? Why did the king not give him immediate justice and after a while a man named Ramanan, who was a father to a daughter, came to visit the king with another man?
After the king had told the old man to leave as he had to think about what to do about the situation, a man named Ramanan, who was a father to a daughter, and another man came to visit the king. Ramanan looked at the king and said like this.
My king, I have come here to complain to you about the wrongdoings of Kalagaya. My daughter was about to get married. At that time, I was going to give my son-in-law's family a dowry. But then, Kalagaya arrested me for giving a dowry and put me in jail. And when I came back, he had taken away a lot of money from my savings. And he says it is the fine for issuing a dowry.
But don't you know that giving or taking dowries has been illegal in our nation for centuries? This is partly your fault as well. Why did you give him dowry? And on top of that, you have also given him a bribe. I don't see what wrong Kalagaya has done.
My king, I did not want to give him dowry, but this man standing right next to me is the one that asked me for the dowry. He is the father of my son-in-law. His name is Bhupati. He told me that the marriage will not be arranged if a dowry is not given to me. As a father of a daughter, I could not refuse his demands. You can ask him yourself.
Is that so, Bhubadi? Don't you know that dowries are illegal in our nation? Why did you ask him for a dowry?
My king, that is where you don't understand what is going on in this region. I did not want to ask him for a dowry. Kalakeya is the one that forcefully made me ask for a dowry, as he wanted to make money off of my son's wedding.
I shall investigate this issue that you are referring to and get back to you with the just and fair decision from my end. Now you can leave.
The king lets both of these men leave and he starts contemplating on what to do. Both the father and the father of the son-in-law leave the palace. After a while, two working class men visit the king. One of the men looks at the king and says,
My king, Kalakeya has been ripping off from our earnings for a long time. That is very regular fact that we have all been paying for years. But after a while, Kalakeya started asking us extra taxes and this has been affecting our finances for a long time.
This makes the king very dizzy. He is quite perplexed about this entire situation. He doesn't understand why all he hears about Kalakeya's corruption and injustice. The king becomes very furious and then he goes and speaks to the assistants of Kalakeya. The king looks at the assistant and says,
I have assigned both of you to help in regulating the region of this sector. How come there are so many injustices going on in this vicinity? And none of you men have done anything about it. Even if you couldn't do anything about it, why haven't you raised this issue with me? What is going on here? Tell me. My king, Kalakeya never listened to us, no matter what we told him. He was a very arrogant individual. Every time innocent civilians would come and complain to us, we would take it up to him and he would immediately shut us down. We felt afraid and we did not want to risk our livelihoods. We all have families and children, my king. We feared that he might remove us from our position, just like he did to Bharathan before, my king.
The king realizes that this entire situation is because of Kalakeya and he also understands that he has to have a conversation with him. The king calls for Kalakeya to be at his chamber. After a while, Kalakeya enters the king's chamber.
What is this, Kalakeya? I have been hearing terrible complaints about you. Not one person has said a single good thing about you in our region. You have been stealing and robbing from these people all this while. I thought you were a very talented and honorable person. How can you stoop so low? What is your reply for this, Kalakeya?
My king, I believe these accusations that are placed against me are nothing but lies. I have been taxing these people for a while, which is why I think they are agitated and upset at me. I do not think these accusations are as true as you think they are. I believe that they have an agenda against me. I request you to please give me 1 year's time so that I can fix the problem that is in this region. I will make sure that these people like and trust me.
After the king heard Kalakeya's request, he contemplated about it for a while. The king went and asked the people of the region on what to do about Kalakeya. All of them told him to take Kalakeya off the position that he is in. But the king did not heed to their request and he granted him the 1 year break that he requested. This made the people very upset and it also made Kalakeya worse than he was before.
I'm going to make sure that I ruin the lives of the people who have accused me of such activities. The king has given me 1 year time to solve all these issues. I will make sure these issues are worse than it was before. No one can stop me.
The uprising anger towards the establishment increased day by day from the civilians of the region. They got so upset that they dethroned Kalakeya and brought a new leader of the common man to the position of a leader in that region. After a while, they sent the leader to the king as a messenger. The leader of the people goes to the king and says this.
Greetings, my king. I am the leader of the eastern region I am here as a messenger from my people to yours.
Young man, it is so good to see you. I have heard a lot of things about what has occurred this past year in that region. Apparently, there seems to be a lot of changes. I would like to know about that.
My king, ever since you have appointed Kalakaya as our leader in our region, he has been corrupt and unjust. He has been consistently taking all our money from us and making us poor. And last year, when we told you our issue, you did not take him from his position and you let him stay there, and he has become much worse than he already is. Which is why our people have fought against them and chosen me to be a messenger to you. So my king, we do not ever want to see him in this position again.
Is it? The people's wish is my command. I shall make sure that Kalagaya is not in that leadership position anymore. And I will appoint Baradan as your new leader. He will take care of your region from now on. Let my command be known to all the people of your region right away.
I shall tell this right away to all my people and ask them to stop their protest immediately. Thank you very much for your help, my king.
Vedal finishes telling the story and now he asks the questions to the king.
My king, tell me, why did the king not punish Kalakaya sooner? Baradan was the first man to report to the king. Yet the king did not take any action then. But even when several individuals from the region came to the king and reported him about the misgivings and the corruption that Kalakaya has been causing for a long time, the king did not do anything even then. And finally, after a long time of almost a year, the people started protesting, and even then the king only decided to take him out of his position and not punish him in any way, shape or form. Why didn't the king take him from his position in the first place? Why did he even give him a chance to be there for 1 year? Is this the king's stupidity? If you answer the questions incorrectly, I will chop your head into 1,000 pieces. So now, king, you have to reply me.
After listening to the questions by the Vedal, Vikramaditya breaks the silence and tells to Vedal like this.
No, not at all. The king did a very wise thing. When Baradan first reported to the king, his complaint was regarding how the region and the people are being treated. His complaint was not a personal complaint. His concern was for the entire region and the civilians in it, whereas the complaints of the other individual who were civilians were extremely personal complaints. This made me realize that Baradan was the only man that was concerned with the corruption that was going on, whereas the other people were not concerned with the corruption that was going on, but they were only concerned when the corruption was placed on them. And the fact that they did not report this to anyone so far until the king went there shows that these people were cowardly and weak. They had no regards for their own well-being. And the reason why the king let Kalagaya be the leader for another year is because he wanted the people to have conviction by themselves. He wanted the people to get angry and protest by their own will. A chain cannot be broken by itself. The chain should be broken by the people who are held by it. Now, Kalagaya would be a worthless individual that nobody would ever trust. Thus, what the king did is the absolute right decision.
Congratulations, my king. You have answered all the questions correctly. But you forgot one thing. Since you have opened your mouth and spoken, I am going to leave from here. Bye-bye.
The little demon Vedal jumps from the shoulders of the king Vikramaditya and he goes and sits on the tree. If you like this story, do like it, share it. For more new stories, please subscribe our New Stories Book English YouTube channel.